Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Allison Cruz, and I'm actually quite pleased to welcome you to a little game I like to call Bad North. This is an RTS-style roguelite that, although is incredibly simplistic in nature and gameplay and music and style, it provides for some brutal gameplay and can be incredibly punishing and difficult at times, especially if we're playing on hard like I did 7 minutes ago. I learned that lesson the hard way. And one of the reasons for that being is that this game really puts an emphasis on playing through each campaign multiple times so that you can accumulate traits to start your commanders off with. As you play through the game, you'll be able to unlock certain abilities that will buff your squads and make it much easier to, you know, have a fighting chance on the later difficulties, but it is clearly not recommended to do it if you're just starting on a brand new file. So we're going to avoid that hardship by playing on normal, and we're going to choose our two commanders. It's kind of funny because a lot of these were Surdic. I forgot about that. I always immediately read Cedric, but then the name comes up and I read it and I'm like, wait a minute, that's not how you spell Cedric. We'll go with him, and like I mentioned, everything is procedurally generated, so everything will be a little bit off from how you would probably end up playing. So let's go with, that's the second Elric we've seen. He's got a funny name, Kane. Again, that's like Kanye. You know what, we'll go for it. And you know what, let's go with that. So adopt your strategy to the shape of each island. Pretty important, as you guys will soon learn. We're going to be getting the lowdown on the game here, and it's pretty simple, like I mentioned, but it just adds a surprising amount of depth that you might not think. So the camera is centered on this island. We can zoom in, zoom out, we can select our squads, and we can move them where we want. We have to defend our houses. We'll get 6 gold coins out of this, which is a really good starting island, because we'll be able to upgrade our squad to the, you know, our first class. There are 3 in the game, and some people will probably get very upset by my general play style. But starting us off here, we're gonna have our first set of enemies coming here, making land ho. And what you want to do is stay away from the tile they're going to land on, because your squad will get knocked back and they will probably end up getting hurt in the process. Now, one of those traits that I was talking about that a commander could have is called sure-footed, which means you will not lose your ground and you will not stumble when there's an enemy here, but it is always recommended to stay at least 1 tile away from where they're gonna land. And sometimes at the last second they will change it, but wow, they all landed on the same one. That was not very smart of you guys, but for the most part, it's pretty easy to read. So go there and done. Perfect. So yeah, pretty lucky starting first. Oh wait, 5. I don't. Hold on, game. Can you count? I don't think this game knows how to count. Also, I love how the shadow of the coins is there, and it doesn't make any sense. That is 5. Why am I an idiot? Why did I think that top one was 3? Usually at the bare minimum, they give you a 3. Anyways, Mackerel Mound is our home. And here is the map that we can choose the islands that we can liberate. This is not looking too great, but unfortunately, ooh, that's good. That's good. Anytime you see these banners, it's going to tell you that you can recruit a new commander there, which is good. And these white pentagon things, is that a pentagon? That's 6. So yeah, that polygon there with the question indicates that you'll be able to get an item there. And sometimes you need to be careful with which island you choose, because after each turn, your commander will become fatigued and you will not be able to use them until you advance a turn. And every time you advance a turn, you'll see part of the screen close in on you. Our next turn, we will not be able to return to Mackerel Mound. And although you can, for some reason, replay through levels, it's just not really even worth it. But you'll see that this is going to get overtaken on our next turn. So let's head over to Barry, see what we can do here. Pretty self-explanatory. It's all very small, but there's only 1 type of enemy here, and it's more or less going to be the same amount of business. After this fight, we should be able to upgrade one of our squads, which will certainly be useful. But let's start sending people down over here. And now we just play a little waiting game. That's good. So the troop that is holding the banner is your commander. He will always be the last guy alive, and when he falls, he is gone for the rest of the game. There is an item called, I believe, the Philosopher's Stone, or the Holy... No, it's the Holy Grail, right? Something like that. One of those items will actually be able to revive your commander, and that was introduced in the most recent iteration of this game. But for the most part, just keep them alive. Otherwise, you're just going to have a really unlucky time. These guys are going to start making their way up to the house where they're going to start torching it. Sometimes enemies will have different priorities, such as only attacking the troops or only going for houses and trying to burn them down. And for the most part, as long as you're in the square right next to where enemies are doing something, you're going to be okay with not moving your troops. They will attack, you know, for you. So let's go over here, and you guys are done. There we go. So if you lose too many troops, like my red troops here, Kane, you can also choose to replenish them. They're going to go in a house, and they're going to sit in there for quite a long time, replenishing your troops. Each troop will have up to 9 soldiers, so be careful with where you place your squads in relation to where the fight's happening. This is going to be a bad idea. We'll go here. And watch, look at how stunned I get. Look at that. Most of us fell over, and when they're on the ground like that, chances are they're going to get their neck cut. So you probably want to avoid that. So 22 schmucks down. Let's get out of here. Very cool. We have liberated Berry. And because we're here now, we'll be able to choose between any of these 3 islands. But let's take a look at the upgrades, shall we? We have 3 different classes we can choose from. The Archer class, which is good for long range and is personally one of my favorites, even though early on they are pretty garbage. Infantry, which is by and away the most important and useful class of them all, especially when you upgrade it all the way. And then the Pikes. These are hit and miss, but essentially what they lack in defense, they can make up with by, you know, blocking off areas and making really good chokeholds. So we can upgrade these each 2 times in addition to the initial purchase, and you will be able to, you know, use these to good effect. Again, items are very important as well. Anytime you get an item, it stays metastasized to that commander. You cannot use it on anybody else, and it's with that commander for the rest of the game. So be very careful with who you decide to use it on, because in conjunction with their traits, which none of us have right now, can make for some very, very interesting fights. I do like Sir Dick, but I'm going to have Kane go ahead and use the infantry. And there we go. We now have shields, which means we can block blows and projectiles, and it's going to be very important for when we start seeing enemy archers. Once we upgrade it, we'll become a veteran, and for 20 gold, we'll be able to become the elite class. Now, each of these classes also has a skill, and the plunge skill is easily the most useless of them all. It's extremely... I mean, you're going to have to be very strategic with how you use it, but some of these stages don't even have cliffs, and it just really is dependent on, you know, on your strategy, I guess, as is most of these. But that's all the money we have for here, so let's go and start our next turn. And you can see that on our next turn, Barry is going to be taken out. So we get to choose one of these, and I would say, because there is a commander to be liberated here, let's head to Nullsoy. Ships can stun your troops, I know that. So here we have our old friend Devin with the hourglass banner. It's kind of weird. There are only 2 places for ships to land ho here, and that makes it relatively easy for us. But yeah, you know what? Let's just go all 3. Sometimes you're gonna have to get really strategic with who you deploy in battle, because you don't have to deploy every single person. If they don't fight in a turn, you know, they can move on to the next island. But there is also another starting trait, and I'm sorry I'm going to keep referring to this. Archers, damn it. The only guys that can defend against it is Kane, right? So, yeah, we'll wait here. But more or less, yeah, if you have the sure-footed ability, you don't have to worry about getting knocked over. And the Energizer, I forgot what it was called, but you can actually have a squad with 2 turns. Okay, there we go. You can fight 2 times in a single turn, is more or less what I was trying to say. So we want to have these guys there and out of sight for the archers, because they can block those projectiles. It's very annoying. But we'll wait. We will. Great shot. So level 1 archers are easily the worst. So I would almost wait on upgrading them until you at least are able to upgrade them to level 2. Otherwise, they're just painfully terrible. All right. Hopefully my explanations are not as scatterbrained as I think they are. You know what? Let's get you guys right over here. There we go. Anyone else? Was that the final wave? Is that what that said? There's nobody else, so let's go wait right up here. And this is where having a pike would be extremely useful, mostly because they would be blocking the way up a cliff, and it's very useful in that sense. So that guy's gonna get stunned, so let's drop these guys down here. Oh, yep, there we go. Yeah, and done. So 2, a whopping 2. Great. And we have Devin with the energetic starting trait, which I think is perfect, absolutely perfect for archers. And we'll get into that soon enough. But again, we do not have anything. Ooh, and there's an item up here. So that's something we're gonna want. And lots of commanders down this way. Huh. All right, well, new turn. We can't really upgrade anything. So in the next turn that we use, it's gonna take over Grenick. And we're probably going to need to save that. Which means I'm hoping Nullsoy gets taken over next. But yeah, let's take a look here. Because we only have 3 commanders, I am going to be using all of them throughout. We can do up to 4, but like I mentioned, you can just, you know, go in with only 1 or 2, and I would not recommend that under any circumstance, going in with just 1 squad. It is a bad idea. This one we might be able to get away with 2, but we would have to use a new turn next turn anyways. So let's get these guys all out here, and we'll see exactly who it is we're dealing with. These schmucks. It looks like we're only going to get 3 gold here too, which is kind of frustrating this early in the game, but it's fine. So we're going to have our old friend Serdic get over here. Oh wait, he doesn't even have the shields. That was the wrong one. Here we go. And then we attack. We wait so we can ambush. So make him run over there. There we go. Disperse the pain a little bit. You're going to be over here, so I will wait there, re-up on that, and we'll be fine. So, oh, I forgot to mention, energetic allows your abilities cooldown to be reduced by, I think, 1/3, which is a lot, and I should have been paying attention to that. I was trying to think for a second. There we go. But it can be very useful for archers, because I think they have the most useful ability in the game, easily, by and away. So, let's just wait right there, and I'm gonna have you guys run on over here. There you go. By the time they get here, hopefully they do not get stunned. Nice. You guys can do this thing. Nice. All right, this last one. There you go. So eventually there's gonna be some giant ships going on through, and it gets pretty hectic. So I do not want you to go up there, so stay here. And we wait. Do not stand on the tile they're on. They're gonna move. Or no, they're not. And the second they land ho, let's land ho them up right here. There we go. Beautiful. Thanks, green team. Team Hourglass. So right now, I think it's very important to get everybody leveled up as quickly as we can to something useful. Right now, without a class assigned to them, they're pretty useless, and we'll go next turn. Okay, we're fine. This is an easy turn. We're gonna go for Dark Rock so that we can recruit another member. And if we're extremely lucky, we might be able to get away with taking islands over with only 2 commanders. And that would be really useful in not getting these overtaken because yeah, the darkness is there. We can no longer retreat. So I would say, Devin, you get to be our class archer, just so that we have it, and we'll be good. It'll be good for hitting enemies out at sea before they even hit the island, and it's very useful. And the ability that we really want, whoops, I did not mean to do that. Let's go back. Go back. Upgrades. The volley, bombard a location with a hail of arrows, can be very useful and can be absolute lifesavers, especially compared to the extremely unique situational ability of the plunge. And the pike is really good too, where they just charge, but we'll get into that a little later. I don't think they're as important. So, Finbar is here. Finbar. And we're gonna fight both types of enemies that we've seen so far here at Dark Rock. Should I save 2? Because Surdik is probably going to end up being useful. Finbar is nothing. You know what? We'll just stick with 4 for now. We don't need to be this tactical this early.